Good afternoon from New York. You're watching News Always On. I'm Castle. Michael Cohen, the personal lawyer for the president who once said he would do anything to protect Donald Trump, now says his first loyalty rests with his family. Cohen told ABC News in an interview saying, quote, "My wife and my daughter, my son, have my first loyalty and always will. I will put family and country first." Cohen has famously said he would take a bullet for Trump, and he has fashioned himself as Trump's fixer, one who's willing to help handle situations quietly. But the interview raises new questions about Cohen's allegiance to Trump amid his legal troubles and subsequent isolation from the president's inner circle. In the interview, he acknowledged that he soon could face criminal charges in an ongoing FBI probe of his finances and business dealings. The interview also offers fresh evidence that Cohen may be willing to cooperate with the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan in an effort to reduce his own criminal exposure. Cohen is enlisting a new lawyer, who's a former New York prosecutor, Guy Petrillo, who once held a leadership post in the same office investigating Cohen. It's not clear what evidence, if any, Cohen may have to offer the government about others, including Trump. Cohen declined to tell ABC whether Trump urged him to make a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels shortly before the presidential election. He also added that he would not do or say a thing that may be perceived as interfering with their professional review of the evidence and the facts. He also refused to say if Trump knew in advance about a 2016 meeting at the Trump Tower between campaign officials and Russians offering dirt on Hillary Clinton. Cohen told ABC he is seeking resolution, saying, quote, "I want to regain my name and my reputation and my life back." Next up, we are looking at a news saying that leftist Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador will become Mexico's next president after easily outpacing his two main rivals. With about a third of the votes counted, Lopez Obrador was polling about 53% to 24% for conservative candidate Ricardo Anaya and 15% for Jose Antonio Meade of the ruling Institutional Revolutionary Party. Trump congratulated the apparent victor in a tweet Sunday night, saying he looked forward to working with him. The tweet read, "Congratulations to Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador on becoming the next president of Mexico. I look very much forward to working with him. There's much to be done with that will benefit both the United States and Mexico." Lopez Obrador says he's going to cut the perks and corruption from the top and give that money and savings to the bottom, raising salaries, pensions for the elderly, scholarships for the young. The New York Times wrote that the outcome of the Sunday's election represents a clear rejection of the status quo in the nation, which for the last quarter century has been defined by a centrist vision and an embrace of globalization that many Mexicans feel has not served them. Meade also congratulated winning candidate Lopez Obrador of the Moreno Party for a sweeping victory in the national vote, wishing the populist leader success during his forthcoming time in the office and calling on Mexicans to rally around the new president. The PRI once ruled Mexico for 71 years before losing to the Conservative Party in 2000, and since then has won the presidency only one other time in the 2012 election. Thousands of Lopez Obrador supporters can be seen flooded at Mexico City's main square to celebrate his victory. In India's capital, police said they found 11 bodies in a home in mysterious circumstances on Sunday, 10 of them blindfolded and hanging from the roof. The victims belonged to the same family and most had lived in one home in Burari village in the northern part of New Delhi. Police officer Vinit Kumar said they are investigating whether the victims died by suicide or were killed, adding that no suicide note was found. The victims were 4 men, 3 women, and 4 girls. Police said that there were no bullet marks on the bodies of the victims and no sign of forced entry into the house. 10 bodies, blindfolded by cotton and pieces of cloth, were found hanging from an iron grill using as a ventilator in the home's courtyard, while the body of a 70-year-old woman was lying on the floor of the house. The Hindustan Times newspaper reported the family had been living in the house for more than 2 decades. It said the house belonged to a businessman who ran a plywood shop and dairy. The newspaper said that at around 8 a.m. Sunday, a neighbor with whom the businessman used to go for morning walks went to see him and found the door open, and 10 people, including the businessman, were hanging. He raised the alarm and people called the police. Kumar told the reporters at scene that they are yet to reach any conclusion whatsoever. Now moving on. Hong Kong marked its 21 years since it returned to Chinese rule on Sunday. Chief Executive Carrie Lam attended a flag-raising ceremony, and a small group of protesters tried to approach the flag-raising venue, with police stopping them more than 100 meters away. Protesters can be seen carrying a coffin representing death and chanted slogans against one-party rule in China. They also called for universal suffrage in Hong Kong and mainland China, and freedom for the widow of Nobel laureate Liu Xiaobo. After more than 150 years of colonial rule, Britain returned Hong Kong to China in 1997 after an agreement that the southern Chinese territory would continue to be ruled under a separate system for at least 50 years. That is until 2047.
We demand the Chinese Communist regime to release Liu Xia, the widow of Liu Xiaobo, and we condemn the massacre in June 4, and the political prisoner in China should be released immediately.
A reception was then held in celebration of the 21st anniversary, attended by Hong Kong's government's top officials and officials from the Liaison Office of the Central People's Government. During her short speech, Lam said that the best is yet to come. Compared to last year's commemorations, it was a much smaller ceremony which were attended by China's President Xi Jinping. Now, moving on to our next story. In major cities and tiny towns, thousands of marchers moved by accounts of children separated from their parents at the US-Mexico border gathered across America in the latest act of mass resistance, called the Families Belong Together marches. That is against Donald Trump's zero-tolerance immigration policy. Now let's take a look at the video of the protesters. Protesters were chanting, "No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here," on a Saturday at a Manhattan Park before a planned march across the Brooklyn Bridge to Cadman Plaza in Brooklyn near the federal courthouse. Let's take a look at the video. At the same time, thousands of people are also rallying in downtown Minneapolis, and we can see now that this video is on Brooklyn Bridge. And during this time, people are also rallying in Minneapolis and Los Angeles. A number of celebrities, including singer John Legend and his wife Chrissy Teigen, also with their newborn son, joined the rally in downtown Los Angeles. Tegan, who is an outspoken critic of Trump, she said, quote, "America at its best is big, beautiful, and diverse, like our great city of Los Angeles. It's not small, it's not petty, and not exclusive like Mar-a-Lago," referring to the president's resort in Palm Beach. Singer-songwriter Alicia Keys also brought her 7-year-old son, and she read a letter written by a woman whose child has been taken away from her at the border. That is a recently abandoned zero-tolerance policy that led officials to take more than 2,000 children from their parents as they tried to enter the United States illegally. Most of them are fleeing violence, persecution, or an economic collapse in their home countries. As per usual, I always like to end the newscast slightly, so here's a fun fact. Did you know that an eagle can kill a young deer and fly away with it? Looks like that's all the time we have for today. For more on this, stay tuned to our channel. For News Always On, I'm Castle, and I'll catch you later.